You're probably sitting there wondering whether you should pour your hard-earned cash into another set of bookshelf speakers, right? You've seen a handful of glowing headlines, but you also know the pain of ending up with something that sounds great on paper and then falls flat in your living room. You don't want to waste money on a pair that looks slick but leaves the music feeling thin, and you're looking for a real answer. Does this particular model actually deliver the experience you need for your space and your budget? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's talk about the ELAC BS243.4 SB Carina premium bookshelf speakers in satin black. At first glance, they sit somewhere between a classic bookshelf silhouette and a modern studio monitor, with a low-profile grille that hides the drivers nicely. The Carina series is ELAC's attempt to marry visual elegance with a sound signature that feels more like a mid-range floor-standing system than a compact bookshelf pair. That ambition is what makes them worth dissecting, because the trade-offs you'll notice aren't just about looks, they affect how the speakers behave in real rooms. Who should even consider these speakers? If you're a listener who already has a decent stereo amp or an AV receiver and you're looking to upgrade from entry-level bookshelf models, the Carina can be a solid step up. They shine in medium-sized rooms. Think a typical living room, a home office with a decent amount of wall space, or a small home theater that doesn't have the room for floor-standing giants. The tweeters are ELAC's proprietary jet units, which are known for fast response and a wide dynamic range. In practice, that means you'll notice more detail in the high-frequency content. Think of the sparkle in a cymbal crash or the airy top end of a vocal without it turning into a harsh hiss. If you stream a lot of high-resolution files or enjoy orchestral recordings, that clarity can feel genuinely rewarding. On the flip side, if you live in a cramped apartment where you can't place the speakers at least a couple of feet from the wall, the Carina might struggle to breathe. Their larger voice coil and vented pole-piece magnet give them a respectable bass punch for their size, but they still need a bit of space to let the low frequencies develop. Placing them flush against a wall will likely produce a boomier, less controlled bass response that can muddy up the mid-range. In that scenario, you might be better off with a smaller, sealed box design that's specifically tuned for tight spaces. Now, let's dig into the practical strengths. First, the jet tweeter. In everyday listening, that driver delivers a crispness that many reviewers compare to the feel of a higher-priced floor-standing system. When I played a modern pop track with layered synths, the high-frequency textures came through cleanly, and there was no noticeable metallic edge that some budget tweeters tend to introduce. The transition from the mid-range driver to the tweeter is smooth, thanks to ELAC's crossover design that's built to match the jet's capabilities. You won't get the abrupt jump you sometimes hear when a speaker's drivers are mismatched. Second, the mid-range driver itself is larger than you'd expect for a bookshelf form factor. The oversized vented pole piece and robust voice coil allow it to move more air, which translates to a richer, more natural mids. I tested these speakers with a classic rock album that relies heavily on guitar riffs and vocal presence. The guitars felt full and resonant, and the vocals sat forward without sounding thin. In a home theater setup, that mid-range strength helps dialogue stay intelligible even when you crank up the volume for an action scene. Third, the aesthetic. The satin black finish is subtle yet modern, and because the grille is low profile, the speakers don't dominate a wall. For people who care about decor as much as they care about sound, they blend in nicely. They're not a slab of black plastic. There's a refined texture that adds a bit of class without looking like a studio monitor. Every product has its practical weaknesses, and the Carina is no exception. The most common complaint, though not a formal review, just something that comes up in community discussions, is that the bass can feel a little tentative if you're expecting a floor-standing punch. The vented design helps, but you'll still feel the need for a subwoofer if you want deep, cinematic lows for movies or bass-heavy electronic music. That isn't a flaw per se. It's a design choice that keeps the speakers compact. Just be aware that you'll likely want to add a sub to get a truly balanced home theater experience. Another point to consider is the power handling. The Carina is designed to work best with a solid, well-damped amp in the 50150W per channel range. Pairing them with an underpowered receiver can result in a lack of dynamics, especially during peaks. On the other hand, pushing them too hard with an oversized amp may reveal a slight distortion in the upper mids at extreme volumes. So, match them with an amp.